Alright guys, let's talk about my main formation in Pistol Playbook. That's going to be Pistol Trips. Now, Pistol Trips is very similar to the single back trips that I broke down in the Pittsburgh offense. The single back version and the pistol version are basically almost identical, really, with what we're trying to do. We'll go ahead and show you the audibles first. Audibles that I will set is going to be the bubble screen, the strong power, inside smash, and PA counter waggle. Now, there are other plays that you can run. You can run the counter, you can run the halfback draw. The halfback slam is not great, but you can run it if you want. You also got read option. So first and foremost, read option. For those of you that don't know how this works, basically, you almost always want to hand the ball off with the running back. If you have a great quarterback like a Mike Vick, a Cam Newton, I say Mike Vick, but that's not a perfect example because Mike Vick has the QB style of a mobile quarterback. Basically, they're always gonna play him. Cam Newton, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Lamar Jackson, but for sure Cam Newton, they will go after the running back almost every single time, allowing you to bolt and get out of there with a quarterback. So basically, as long as you look at your QB style for Mutt, Cam Newton is a perfect example of this because they will chase the running back. It'll allow you to get out of the pocket, and then now you can actually do some real work. But besides that, like with Vic, you're able to use this ball, use this and basically sprint all the way towards the trip side. You just hold A on the read option. You just hold A, boom, and you're basically hoping your receivers can block. Like I said, good run, not great. I don't run it a ton, but I do like it with Vic just because of the ability that I know that they're always going to play the quarterback. It allows this running lane to actually have a decent amount of space. So that's first and foremost. If you play with Vic, you can run this. If you don't play with Vic, you use a Cam, you use a Lamar, you're able to actually keep it with the quarterback more frequently, but not an amazing idea in my opinion unless you have those players. Like Vic gives the ball to the running back. If it's a mobile quarterback, the QB style is mobile. You want to give it to the running back. If it's balanced, if it's pocket passer, anything like that, just take off with the quarterback. Now, into the actual plays, right? So bubble screen is going to work the exact same way. I'm not going to focus too much time on bubble screen. Basically, if I see somebody, they're coming out, they're setting up crossfire, basically they're blitzing heavy, that's when I like to abuse the bubble screen. So say they come out, they're in this type of an alignment. I know they're base aligning, they're blitzing the slot guy, they're doing all sorts of crazy stuff, sending 6 people. That's when I throw the bubble screen, but for the most part that's really it. You just throw the bubble screen, pick up your blocks, you got potential for a huge gain. Nothing really crazy with the bubble screen. It is something that you can go to when they're in man coverage as well. Like I said, man coverage, for whatever reason, doesn't really play the bubble screen. I mean, you see, basically, if Gilmore doesn't block shed, or that was Butler that doesn't block shed, you're able to pick it up because the guy manned up to him doesn't do anything. So I do take advantage of this in two different ways. So as we get into the offense, I'll explain it a little bit more, right? So when I'm running inside smash, a lot of people, they will take somebody and man up this receiver, and they'll man him up, as you see right here, just because that's the guy that I'm motioning over to create the post, typically. So the base setup is going to be this right here. You streak the tight end, drag the wide receiver, in route the X receiver, and then you're motioning the post over. Now this is the exact same thing that I broke down in the single back trips. I'm not going to focus too heavy on basically everything that you guys should already know. Now, the reason that works is it's a mesh post concept. So once again, streak the tight end, drag the wide receiver, in route X. Now, I do like the drag and the in route combo because it allows me to playmaker one of them up. Typically, the user will chase that one, and I'll still have the underneath route, right? So, I'm playing on the safety, so I jacked up the coverage. But it's a mesh post concept. You got the drag, you got the post, you got the in route. So you typically, the way that it'll work, and I'll go to the instant replay to try to explain it a little bit better. You know, ignore what the defense is doing, but basically you got the streak pulling the zones deep. You got the post route that's going to be cutting underneath of it. Then you have the drag underneath. Now typically, if they drop back to say play the post, you would playmaker this receiver, who's that? Chris Hogan, you would playmaker him up. Now that then forces your opponent to go to pick and choose. Are they guarding the post, which is going from right to left, or are they going to guard the playmaker, which essentially is going to be towards the right side of the field? So say you playmaker him at this point, now they're picking and choosing, you know, between who they're guarding. They're not going to be able to guard him going straight up the field, and then him going from, you know, this far right to this left side. There's no way to really guard both. The spacing's not there. Now, say they, you know, do a good enough job and you're just not really confident. Once you playmaker him up, we know once you playmaker him, the user's going to be in this area of the field. They're 100% going to be in that area. They're not going to let you hit two deeper routes. So at that point, that's where the in route comes in. You would then be able to chuck this in route because now he's going to be your underneath route once they vacate the area with their user to guard either the post or the playmaker up the middle of the field. So that's basically it for that setup. Now the secondary setup that I use is going to be to streak the B receiver, slant Y, and then in route X. So it's basically two differences. Streak and the slant. And what we're doing with this is we're using the slant to force our opponent's user to kind of go react to it. And then if they don't react to the slant, you have the little cloud, or not cloud flight, you have the flare route by the running back and the slant. You'll be able to hit the slant 99% of the time. And then if they don't react to it, you have this little double move post route going underneath. So, or underneath the streak, I should say. So we'll go ahead, we'll run it right here. I got screamed at. I gotta stop sending sticks at me. So here's Crossfire once again. Go ahead and set this up. Boom, slant, in route. Now, at this point, as I mentioned, we are looking to hit the slant. If the slant's not there, we hit the post coming back over the top. It's essentially another version of the mesh post concept. The only difference is who we're looking to hit. So instead of having the post that we're motioning over, we could throw to the tight end on his post. B would be the guy going deep instead of the tight end being the guy that goes deep. Now, the way that I like to set that up, and this is something that probably going to be a good little note for you guys. When I'm running strong power, I have to flip the run to the left. So when I run that setup, I like to, you know, streak, basically set up the route combo, and then I like to flip the, you know, make it look like I'm going to run to that left-hand side. And that's just by flicking the right analog stick to the left. A lot of the times people will, as soon as they see that little, you know, butt tap basically, they're going to instantly sprint straight to that left side of the field because they're going to want to stop strong power. Strong power is that good of a run that they got to overreact to it. Now, once they do that, then it's going to open up even more things. The slant is going to be wide open. The in route is going to be very difficult to guard once they sprint to the left. And then, you know, as I mentioned, no matter what the CPU's got, whether it's, you know, cloud flats, hard flats, Tampa 2, cover 3, cover 4, cover 6, doesn't matter. They're not going to be able to stop the post and the two underneath routes. Basically, they have to bring pressure to get to you. And If they do, you know, that's great, but for the most part, it's going to be very difficult to stop 5 routes while bringing pressure. So once again, boom, you got slant right underneath. The slant in route and the streak, it forces the user. I'm going to go to instant replay real quick just so I can show you. But it's going to force our opponent's user to basically stand right here. If they don't stand right here, then they're not going to have any chance at stopping the low ball streak. Boom, you can throw the low ball streak. Well, if they're manually playing that, you got the slant underneath. If they're manually playing that, then they got the in route coming open. Like, there's no way to guard all 3 of those little routes. And then, as I mentioned, if you're overplaying that and I have time, this tight end route is going to be open on his double move. So that's the secondary setup. Now, that is pretty much what I like to do out of that play. Now, PA counter waggle is a bit different. Now, this is a play that I simply don't have in Pittsburgh, single back trips. And the reason that this is good is because of this deep crossing route that is ran by, in this case, Hogan, right? So when I run this, I like to block the running back. I like to either fade or drag the tight end. Most of the time, I'm fading him. And then basically, you'll see that deep crossing route is almost always going to be open, no matter what your opponent's in. You saw right there, that was a cover 3 match, basically. Here's cover 3 with clouds. Got screamed at, but I don't know if you saw it. Hogan did throw his hand up in the air. Go ahead once again. So boom, roll out of the pocket, low ball, easy completion. Cover 4 is going to react the exact same way because of the fade by the tight end. Now, the only way to stop that route is going to be in a cover 4 baseline press look. If they're in a cover 4 baseline press look, that will stop the deep crossing route ran by Y. But if they're sitting in those type of alignments, they're going to really struggle to stop our bunch tight end quick little audible that we do, right? So besides that, I'll get into that, you know, in a later video, but that's going to be the main route we're looking to hit when we run that setup. If we're not doing that setup, you can block the tight end, you can hitch the B receiver, and that's going to work very similar to the PA all cross out of this shotgun bunch tight end. You're going to basically, boom, now you're looking to either playmaker to the middle of the field, playmaker back to the outside, or simply just dump it off to him. So we'll go ahead, once again, say they're in a Tampa 2, right? Tampa 2. So you simply playmaker him, we're max protecting. Now at this point, playmaker back to the middle of the field, possession catch. Not a huge gain, picked up a few yards right there, but our opponent's user typically is going to take somebody out of the middle of the field and they will go guard the deep cross. If they don't guard the deep cross, they have no chance. That route's going to get open, as I mentioned, versus basically everything, and that's it. I mean, it's really, really simple for this little setup. Now, if they don't have a deep hook or a middle linebacker in a deep blue, you got the little S post. Now that's one setup that I use, right? So that's actually 2 that I've broken down already. You got the first one where you're fading the tight end. The second one is where you're just max protecting, putting the guy on a hitch. And keep in mind, blocking the running back is always optional on these plays. Now, the third setup that I use out of this is I will streak the tight end. I will drag the B receiver. And I'm motioning B to the right and hiking the ball a few steps just to kind of recreate that mesh post type of alignment or look. And you see you got the drag underneath, you got the S post and the deep cross coming back from left to right. So you'll see something like this. Here's a cover 2. pretty good coverage, something that you will see people run. So streak tight end, drag B, block the running back, motion him over. Now, right here you see that you could roll out, throw, possession catch to the deep receiver. You could do that. You could throw the drag underneath. In the game, you would be smart routing this S post. So you would smart route him. So once again, you would do something like this. You could also do 2 drags. Like when I'm looking to hit that S post, I do 2 drags, boom, and then I just chucked it. That was a bad read right there. But basically, you got the 2 drags underneath, you got the S post, you got the streak by the tight end. So once again, just to recap what I'm doing out of this play, first setup is to fade the tight end. When I do this setup, I am looking primarily to hit this wide receiver on the deep cross. If he's not open, I'm typically dumping it down to the B receiver. There's no way they're going to guard both of those routes together. Additionally, you could put this X receiver on an in route. You could do the smart routed in if you want. You can do just the regular 5-yard in. That's one setup, right? So you got looking to hit Y. If they don't guard Y, you're looking to hit B. If they somehow are able to peel back between B and Y, you hit the in route. It's going to be impossible to stop all 3. You can smart route the in route if you want. That gives you a nice little low ball option on the deep end. But for the most part, not my main setup, but one of my favorite setups is this exact alignment. You got Y is your main route, B is your quick pass, you got the in route coming behind B. They're not able to play all 3 of them. Now, the second setup, say you need to max protect, right? If you need to max protect, you max protect, block the running back, hitch the slot receiver, B. Now when you do this, you're still looking to roll out of the pocket to the right and hit this deep cross by Y. And then you got the playmaker option back behind it. So you would have, the playmaker back to the left or to the right, doesn't really matter. But they still have to respect the Y route. They still have to respect the playmaker hitch to both sides. And then if you catch them slipping in a Tampa 2 or something where they're, don't have the middle linebacker deep, you can then hit that S post. So that's the secondary setup. If you need to max protect, you do that. Now, the other setups, you have streak the tight end, drag the B receiver, and then you want to motion over B, and then you got Y. So you would have the 2 drag combo right here. You would have the smart routed post by X. So say they're playing hard flats or whatever. Boom, throw the low ball, S post route. You guys know how dominant that route is. Basically, that's your PA post type of look on that play. And then, as I mentioned, the other setup is to have the drag going from right to left. So you would do something like this. You'd motion this guy over with the mesh post type of look. Hike the ball. And with this, you're still looking to hit that deep cross. You got the drag going underneath. And then you could also, on that look, say you want to run that setup. Instead of flaring the running back, streak the tight end, drag X, drag B, and now you've got the same type of route combo. So boom, you get the 2 drags going underneath, you get the post going from right to left, or excuse me, from left to right. And that's basically it. That's this formation. Strong power. Ideally, you flip the run to the trip side, line shift down when you do it, and then basically you're just going to have running room for days. Now this run absolutely kills 4-6. Basically it forces your opponent to blitz. If they don't blitz and they try to just rely on block shed, they're going to struggle. It's not a defense that, it's not a run that gets boxed by people shedding just because there's typically so many running lanes. With the pulling guards, it's very difficult to, shoot the gap on this run because of the 2 guards pulling. So one of my favorite runs in the game, for sure, hands down. So when running the strong power, one thing I do a lot, and everybody knows that you got to flip the run to this trip side. So as soon as people see that, I mentioned this already in this video, but they will shift their whole linebackering core, or their whole D-line. They'll shift everybody in that direction. So once they do that, I'll simply flip the play. And you see, once you tap to go to the trip side initially, when you flip the play, the run now is still going to the trip side. So at that point, you're able to play the quick hike game with your opponent, and you're able to not have to do the little butt tap again to get the run to go to the other side of the field. So once again, when you want to run strong power, you tap it to go left. Even if your opponent doesn't make any adjustments, say you want to run the ball to the right, you flip your play, your running back is going to the receiver side. So you're able to quick hike it. See, your ability to pick up huge chunks of yards against the main blitzes, the fire zone in 4-6, the crossfires, DB fire, all of these type of runs, they don't do a good, all of these type of defenses, they don't do a good job defending this run. Your opponent is really going to have to be in like a 3-4 odd, 4-3 stack. 4-3 wide 9's okay as well. But we have options in the passing game. We got a ton of good options to pass from, and that's just out of pistol trips. The bubble screen, inside smash, PA counter waggle, all complement strong power perfectly. One of the best formations in the game. I really wish there was a playbook that had pistol trips and also my empty bunch, but unfortunately there's not. So that's it for pistol trips, guys. Hope you guys enjoy.